Hi, my name is John. I am Head of Mechanical. Me and my team have installed thousands of heat pumps and now I've got the opportunity to do my own. Come in and I'll show you around. Right, this is one of my bedrooms. As you can see, I've taken up all the floors. The plan is to lay underfloor heating. So I'm going to be laying ply in between the joists here, so it's level with the top of the joist. Then I'm going to lay the underfloor heating and then I'm going to put my finished floor over the underfloor heating. I'm starting on the first floor and then I will go to the ground floor. The only difficulty I have on the ground floor is I have solid floors. So I need to decide whether I'm going to go for an overlay system, which will raise my floor level, which will then obviously affect my ceiling height. And if that's not going to be an issue, I'll probably go for that. If I go for the other way, which will be channeling out the underfloor heating into the screed, which I have to get a specialist in. Benefits of that is I'm not going to lose any ceiling height, but there's just more work involved and more cost. Before all of that goes down though, I've got to run all my pipework underneath, MVHR ducts, which are going to run into the kitchen in this instance, and then I've got to insulate in between the joists. So the challenges, what I've sort of encountered so far, are removing the pipes. As you can see, I've also got a one pipe system where the whole heating system circulates through one pipe instead of traditionally you would have two. And as I'm doing things as I go, I'm going to have to keep this circuit running all the time. So I'm going to have to move it probably 3 or 4 times just to keep the heating system running. As you can see, I've got MVHR pipes here coming through a stud wall. The biggest issue I had here was, as you can see, I've got 30 mil of stud there, which trying to run 75 mil duct through that it's not going to work. So I've got to make this wall wider. This had cardboard cutouts throughout the wall. It's another 60-70 thing, I believe, just because it was a cheaper way of putting walls up. Soundproofing is really bad. Also insulation, they're not insulated, so it's not very good anyway. So I'm going to have to board these walls out further, so allow for the thickness of the MVHR duct, and then I'm going to have to insulate and then board, and then it can all go back together. So once this is all done, I'm going to probably lose 50 mil on the wall, thereabouts. I wanted to lose the thickness in this room and not the bedroom. I think that's one thing with MVHR. If you're retrofitting, you have to make compromises. Unless you've got a huge house with load of different ways of running the ductwork, not doable without making sacrifices. My sacrifices at this moment in time, I'm losing 50 mil of that room. And the work what's going into that is, obviously, I've got to take this wall down, so it's not easy. I'm making the sacrifice because it's going to bring the efficiency of my house up. I'm trying to go completely renewable, so I'm trying to get as much renewable into the property as I can. MVHR, I'm bringing fresh filtered air into the house. It's going to help with condensation, so my windows, for instance, it will reduce condensation on my windows. Any damp issues, it's an older property. I don't necessarily have damp issues, but if I do, it's going to help with that. It's also going to keep the house to the temperatures I need it to be, or help keep the house to the temperatures I need it to be. This is going to be our main bedroom. Walls coming down there to make a dressing room. Underfloor heating again, floors are going to be coming up, as you can see. What I've done in the other rooms, we'll be knocking through into the garage at some point, but that's going to be probably a year or so before I even start looking at doing that. One thing to actually probably mention is I can hear my boiler. It wakes me up every morning. Every time my boiler comes on in the morning, I have it on a timer and I can hear it. I know it's time to get up because I can hear the boiler. So people will say, oh, heat pumps are noisy. You can hear them, yes. For one, they're outside, but you can also hear your boiler running every day. So I don't really think there's much difference. I believe most heat pumps are around 48 to 52 decibels, which my boiler pluming is exactly the same. So I'm not really making any compromises with the noise levels. We're in my loft. As you can see, I've got a bird nest of MVHR ducting. I guess this will be a slight compromise. You will lose a bit of space in your loft. At some point, these will be, because they're running through the loft, I don't want to lose any heat from inside the pipes. So these will run along the side there, all be insulated to keep as much heat in the pipes as possible. Yeah, once I've got every single vent in the ceilings, there are going to be quite a few of these pipes here. They will be tidied up and look a lot neater, but you've got to be prepared to lose some space in your loft. So I'll be insulating this loft. Again, as you can see, I have insulation, but it's not to current standards anymore. This property had spray foam insulation in this roof space. It had to be removed because I believe there's fire risk, and it also stops the houses from breathing, so it brought in damp issues for properties, and I believe you can't get mortgages if you have it. So before we bought this property, it had to be removed, which is, it's removed all the felt, so that's going to have to be replaced at some point. This is definitely a compromise, and it's going to be hard for me because I really like the parquet floor. It's really nice, but if I want to go underfloor heating, I'm going to have to take it up. It'd be too difficult to pull it up and put it back down. They come in tiny little blocks, and it's going to, as you can see, it's going to take me forever to put those back down. So that is a compromise. The floor's going to have to come up, underfloor heating laid, and then my finished floor on top of that. I'm going to replace this floor with another engineered wood floor. Because I'm having MVHR, you have to make your rooms airtight. I have a fireplace here, which is lovely in the winter, but because I have it, my room's not airtight, so I am going to have to get rid of it. I can go electric if I really want, but again, I don't want to be wasting energy, so I'm just going to block it up and then do something with it, but I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing. Again, another slight compromise is your rooms have to be airtight, so your fireplace has to go, unfortunately. We're currently in my conservatory where I've actually laid underfloor heating in here. Unfortunately, it's one of the first things I had to do because there was a leak underneath the floor, so the floors had to come up, reboard it, then lay my duro boards over the top, and then I've had to self-level. You wouldn't generally heat your conservatories, but it's quite cold from my conservatory to inside the house, so I wouldn't say this is going to heat the room properly, but it would definitely take the chill out of it, which would then help with the heat inside. So I'm not going to lose as much inside because it's freezing cold out here. But yeah, generally you wouldn't lay underfloor heating inside a conservatory and expect it to heat it properly because you lose a lot through the glass, but it would definitely take the chill off. I'm doing this on weekends, so it took me 3 weekends, I'd say. I had to wait 4 weeks for the floor to dry out, partially dry out that is, before I reboarded. I laid insulation in between the joists, then I laid the board down, then I primed the floor ready for the underfloor heating boards. I stuck the underfloor heating board with a glue, which is a spray glue, and then I laid the underfloor heating pipes. There's 2 circuits here, so 2 underfloor heating circuits, and then I primed the floor again, ready for self-leveling. We're in my garage now, where my boiler is housed. All my heat pump equipment is going to be coming in here. So MVHR unit, hot water cylinder, buffer vessels, controls, everything will sit in here. There are going to be a few sacrifices. This is a combi boiler, so everything is in this one box. So I'm going to lose a bit of space, but it's not the end of the world, but it's something I'm going to have to make space for. Because all the equipment's going to be going high level, I'm going to have to change my garage door. I've got a traditional garage door which goes up and down, which then the top half, when it's open, comes into the room. So any equipment I have high level is going to be in the way. I'm going to have to go for an electric roller door, so it just goes up and down and it doesn't get in the way. This is a heat exchanger which sits inside with MVHR unit. The reason this has been taken out is because that unit I'm actually installing here has come from our office and it was stripped down, so I haven't put it all back together yet. But yeah, generally this is what a heat exchanger looks like, and it will sit inside the unit. It should stay warm through what we've extracted from the bathrooms and the kitchen, and then the air passes through from outside into the heat exchanger and then brings me warm fresh air into my property. These are the underfloor heating boards I'm going to have throughout my whole house. They got a insulated bottom, so this acts as insulation, and then I got like a foil face, hard foil face top. As you can see, the pipes pass through here and here to make the loops. Again, I mentioned in my conservatory about putting spray glue on the bottom of these, and then you just lay them and make your circuits. Boilers can be quite noisy at times, especially when they're all full rate and they're pluming. And it's going to work exactly the same with your heat pump. Your heat pump's going to be quieter when obviously it's on low rate, and when it's on higher rate it would be noisier. Exactly the same as a boiler. They're as noisy as each other. You know, there's slight differences, I would say, but once I stop speaking, you'll see from the decibel reader that you're around that 50 to 54 mark anyway, which is pretty much a heat pump. Some heat pumps are down to 48 decibels, slightly lower. So people mentioning that, oh, they're noisy. They're not noisy. This is my bathroom. I am installing MVHR to this property, so we will be extracting all the moisture and the heat from the air from the bathroom. Normally you would have an extractor fan, which I'll show you the noise in a sec. But the good thing about MVHR is my unit is going to be in the garage, so the fan's going to be in the garage. So you will hear a bit of noise coming from the vent, which will be in the ceiling, but it will be very minimal. So generally you won't hear anything near that. It will be half quarter, most probably, I would say. It'd be good to do a before and after at some point when I finally installed my MVHR unit, but just to give you an idea of how loud a traditional extractor fan is. And bear in mind, this isn't that old, and you can get ultra quiet extractor fans, but they're still not quiet. So yeah, look, we're looking at around about 62 decibels, so slightly higher than my boiler, but not much. Also, another thing probably to mention is when the unit goes into boost mode, it will extract the moisture from the air. Condensation throughout the bathroom are quicker than how it would normally. It would just, all day long, it would just tick over, take a little bit of the moisture out of the air and help with condensation throughout the property. I've got to run two 75mm round ducts into the bathroom. My bathroom's just below this wall here actually, which is going to be very difficult, and I still haven't 100% confirmed what way I'm going to go. My joists run this way, which means I can get to the garage from here to here, but to come into the bathroom, I need to go through 1, 2, 3, 5 joists, which is, well, I won't be able to do that. So I need to find a way of getting to there, either drop into the ceiling below and then go above my kitchen units and then through the wall there, which is going to be messy. I'm probably going to have to take a few of the kitchen units out. My other way I'm thinking potentially is to, which is also long-winded, but I'm going to potentially be taking out my roof tiles, insulating the ductwork as much as I can, and then running it down the roof line into the bathroom. Wouldn't necessarily say there's a compromise there, it's just a lot of work and it's going to be difficult to do it. It's not going to be straightforward. When you retrofit, and you always have to compromise and come up with solutions and kind of just work on your feet and just try and make it work, because you know that is one of the most important places for the ductwork to go. That's where I'm taking the heat, which would then be caught in the heat exchanger with inside the MVHR unit. So it's very important I run these pipes. You have to do it. There's no compromise on that. You have to run it to your bathrooms. So following from upstairs, when I mentioned about bringing the ductwork to the room below, which is here, as you can see, these are my kitchen units and my fridge freezer. I'm going to have to drop it down to miss all of these joists because I can't go through them, and then enter the bathroom here, which then goes into another cupboard. Then I'm going to have to come up, and then I'm going to have to come into the room, which is obviously difficult. Because I am planning to go underfloor heating throughout the house, as you can see I've got radiators here, I'm gonna have to remove them. These are solid floors, so the pipes will have to stay in the floor. I'll have to cut them at floor level, and then I'll probably cap them anyway, but there's gonna be quite a bit of work involved in removing them. I can also, if I didn't want to, I could put underfloor heating in the first floor, and then because I've got solid floor on the ground floor, I could just have radiators and drop flow and return pipework down and then into the radiators if I wanted to, but I really want to go underfloor heating throughout, just mostly for efficiency. I want to be able to keep my heat pump at a lowest flow rate as I can. I'm trying to achieve 32 to 35. That would be great if I could do that. So that's going to bring my running costs down massively if I can achieve that. If I do go for radiators, I'm going to have to probably have a 45 to 50 degree flow temperature, which obviously I'm going to be running the heat pump a lot harder than what I would like. So that's why I'm going to try and go underfloor heating throughout. Underfloor heating, the actual heat itself, it's a lot more comfortable than what a radiator is. Not even just my opinion. It's a fact. You've got pipes running through the whole of the house, so it's this nice gradual heat, which is it's going to be everywhere. So you kind of don't feel like you're walking into the heat like you do a radiator. A radiator sort of circulates heat around the room. It builds up dust, and it just doesn't stay there. When the radiator turns itself off, it's gone within, well, it depends on your house obviously, but it doesn't stay there for that long. At least with underfloor heating, you'll heat that whole slab up as such, and it will gradually release, and it's just a nicer heat. So again, with MVHR, we are going to be extracting the heat from the kitchen. So I have a extractor fan which takes everything outside. You can't have that with MVHR. You have to have a recirculating filter in, so you are not dumping all the heat outside. So that's another slight compromise, I guess. I don't think it makes a massive difference, but again, it's about keeping the heat within this area to then take it to the heat exchanger within the MVHR unit. Because we're installing MVHR, we need vents which are going to be going in the ceiling. You can have them coming off the wall if you need it to, but mine are all coming from the ceiling. This is what they look like, and when the system's installed, we have to balance it. We have to make sure all the airflows are correct, which will be within the design. Lucky for me, I've got a designer at the office. So, right, this is going to be my preferred location for the heat pump. Reason being I'm going for here is it's out of the way of everyone. No one can see it. I've got easy access into the house, which is going to come through here I'm probably going to go into the loft. So I'll probably go straight up and then through the eaves all the way to the garage. But at this moment in time, this is my preferred location. It may change, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know what unit I'm actually having yet because I haven't had a finished heat loss done on the property. So it all depends on the heat loss of the property as to what heat pump I go for. I've gone for air source over ground source because an air source suits the property. Like for instance, if I went for a ground source, I don't think I've got the drilling space out the front. I have drilling space out the back, but I'd have to have the drilling rig that is craned over the top, and it's not in my budget, put it that way. Okay, this is a potential another location for my heat pump. The reason I'm not going for this is it's slightly narrower, so I would have to face it this way because you need to have clearances from front and sides. It would be borderline whether it'd go here, so that's why it's probably going to be going around the other side. This is probably another location for a heat pump at the end of the garden or out the way. For instance, if you don't have access to the side like I have, you could go down the end of the garden. Mostly you'd have to achieve that by putting pre-insulated pipes in, which is probably about 150, 160 mil pipe with 2 pipes within inside it, which would run through a trench. Generally you'd metre to 1200 deep. You could put the heat pump on a base at the end of the garden and you could build around it so you didn't see it if that was really an issue for you. I will be having solar panels put in at some point. I will not be having them on this roof because we're north facing here, so they're going to have to go on the front of the house. I'm not 100% sure how they're going to be installed yet, whether I'm going to go for an in-roof panel or an on-roof panel. I'd rather go in-roof, I just think it looks a bit tidier. You'll see from the video, my roof is it's a bit strange with the levels and I've got a few windows in the way, so if I can go in roof, I would prefer to go in roof because I think it looks tidier, but worst case scenario, I'm going to have to go for an on-roof panel.
If you're thinking about a heat pump, solar, battery, MVHR or air conditioning for your property, then contact us at Elite Renewables. You can give us a ring on 020 8706 0056 or you can contact us through our website at eliterenewables.co.uk. We make the process really simple, so we'll have an initial chat where we'll be able to give you a ballpark estimate for your project. We'll then send one of our technical team over to your property to visit you, to understand the property in a bit more detail and to conduct a detailed survey so that we can give you an exact quote. Contact us by giving us a ring or dropping us an email through our website today.